welcome to day 2 here of the Socially Distant Air Show. I'm out-of-work air show announcer Matt Giuli, joined as always by my 2 good friends, also out-of-work air show announcers Rob Ryder and Mr. Rick Peterson. We host a podcast, by the way, called Show Center, the Air Show podcast, and we had this idea a few weeks ago, and we said we'd like to do something to help our friends in this business should they ever need any financial help. And that's what this is. Rick, I'll let you explain just a little bit there.
Exactly. It's for the ICAS Foundation, so that through these unprecedented times, through this COVID-19 crisis, like the entertainment industry and the music industry, there are going to be some people that are going to probably need a leg up. And that's what it's all about, supporting our own. And of course, that includes the fans as well. If you'd like to make a donation, we've set it up so that you can call the 1-800 number, the text number that you see on the screen below. And for those, and yesterday we had so many people from Europe join us, which was just heartwarming. And there'll be lots more again today with the F22 Tricolori coming up a little bit later on the program, and the Snowbirds, of course, in Canada on our program as well. That's 2 of the 3 jet teams. But the icasfoundation.org website is set up so that you can donate there. There's a very fast way for you to make a contribution, or you can call that number, text to that number down below, give, and that will get a donation in to us as well, to the ICAS Foundation. Matt.
I want to bring Steph Strickland in. She is joining us, keeping us up to date on everything that's going on the social media front. Steph, how you doing?
This is already so much fun. So in the chat, we have the F22 who's hanging out with fans and interacting in real time. So hop on over to YouTube and or Facebook. They're sort of ping-ponging back and forth. Mike Goulian's in the chat right now. Jeff Bourbon with the Yak 110 is in the chat. Later, we've got the Snowbirds joining us and the Flying Cowboys and more. And I have to give a quick shout out. Sean from Maryland, hello, how are you doing? And Brian checking in from his living room, as are we all. So thank you guys so much for being here with us. Much more in store on social media, but for now, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Ralph. Ralph is coming up here in a few seconds. Rob, what do you think? My guess is that Ralph has never used a chat room in his life. Am I safe to...
No, Ralph Royce is one of the air bosses who has been around our business for many, many years, has won a lot of awards, including the International Council of Air Shows, that is ICAS, sort of excellence. But his briefings are quite theatrical, I would say, and he has a few things that he says on every one, and I think we're going to hear some of those like right now.
On behalf of the Socially Distant Air Shows, remember, it's Bernoulli, not Marconi, that makes airplanes fly. Fly the airplane, don't fall the airplane. Don't do nothing dumb.
How about it?
There you go.
This is live. So
can we apologize to the children that might have been watching right now, because they may be a little frightened after that? I'm just saying.
But you have said the word. This is live. This is live. This is a no net situation out here, and right. If there are technical goof ups, we're going to live with them. We'll push on through. But I do need to get things started right now. The 3 of us get our FaceTime. Actually, the 4 of us with Stephanie, of course. But the 2 guys who aren't getting any FaceTime here, but deserve so much of the credit, are the team of Live Air Show TV. It's a father-son group. Jeff Lee down in Texas, and his son, Brian Lee, who is an Army helicopter pilot. He is down in what, L.A., Rick? Is that where he is?
Lower Alabama.
Yeah.
This broadcast is coming from Lower Alabama, via Texas, via Loveland, Ohio, via West Georgia and Canada, from there to Minnesota, and then to the world. What could possibly go wrong?
Go wrong. Go wrong. Go wrong.
Yeah, there you go. Now, listen, we have a world premiere with this, our first performer right out of the box. And this is a real honor to get to see this for the first time ever. We're about to see a new paint job. Well, I'll let Rob, do you want to set this up? I mean, you and Mikey are close friends. How about setting this up a little bit?
Well, Mikey has a great sponsor, and they have come to rename their company. It used to be Wheelin Engineering. It's now Wheelin Aerospace Technologies. But, well, why don't I tell you what? Let's just go to Michael Goulian. He'll explain it. We'll get to see the whole shoot match. Here's Mike Goulian.
Hey, Air Show fans. Michael Goulian here. Well, if you're like me, you're all dressed up with nowhere to go. But we're thinking about air shows coming up in the later half of the summer, and I, for one, am psyched to do that. We're here in my hangar just outside of Boston, Plymouth, Massachusetts, right near Cape Cod. You can see we've got a bunch of really cool airplanes in this hangar. Let's take you back to 2019's Sun and Fun Air Show, where we debuted a really cool paint scheme by Mirko Piccarari for Wheelan Aerospace Technologies, and we might have something different for you for 2021.
Rolls and he stops. It's a lot of muscle memory, and his shoulder, his arm, and his wrist all are like a shock absorber, and he has to practice and practice and practice to make those point rolls stop exactly where they're supposed to be, which is a competition thing. With Rick, as you know, so many of the performers we have come from the aerobatic competition field.
And then, of course, they start to freestyle it and make it look as amazing as Michael does. And here's a guy who has written books about flying aerobatics and teaches it very well, and of course has turned a career into not only racing but the air show career that has been outstanding, award-winning stuff. Matt?
I just can't say enough great things about Michael Giuli, such a professional, and to me there just isn't anybody that compares to what Mike Giuli brings to the table when it comes to a professional air show performer, all around professional. I mean, that's what I think of when I think of Mike Giuli. Just everything he touches, he does it so.
And he has a significant relationship with Cirrus Aircraft, as we saw in the hangar shot. We saw a couple SR-22s and the Cirrus Vision jet, the new one. So he's kind of their poster boy, and he does a lot of work with Cirrus throughout the year. And as we watch Michael, keep your eye again on the stick. It looks like he manhandles it. When he brings his stick forward and back, he's using his fingers on it. There is a lot more finesse than I thought was actually going on in this. And he says he never goes into any maneuver without knowing the expected outcome. People say, how many times does it take? He says, if I don't do it 1,000 times right in a row, I don't do it in my show. That's
I'm hoping that someone's going to tell me that he's working something up in the Cirrus jet. That's what I'm hoping.
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, now you're talking. Well, I think Mike's in the chat room right now. By the way, if you want to chat with Michael Giuli, you can log on there as you're watching the show here today and chat with a lot of our folks who are on there. Michael Giuli, though, one of the all-stars in our business, and just an all-around great guy. We just love this fella. Such a professional, such a pro.
Experiencing so many G's. And by the way, he won a race here in the United States when he was doing the Red Bull Air races, and I believe he's the only American pilot ever to have won at Indianapolis, and he got to do something that only a handful of people have gotten to do over the 100+ years of the Indianapolis 500. When he won there for the Red Bull Air races, he got to get down and he got to kiss the bricks, right, Rick?
Absolutely. Great moment. And we're going to get to see the reveal in just a moment of what the new airplane looks like, Rob.
Yes, indeed. So as they finish up, again, thanks to Onboard Images and Live Air Show TV, as we go back to Plymouth, Massachusetts, and our buddy, the professional, as we say.
Well, fans, I hope you guys like to look back at Sun and Fun 2019. It's always fun to look at the perspective of the pilot from inside the cockpit and then also the ground to air. So I hope you guys really like that a lot. Standing here in front of our newly designed and created Wheelan Aerospace Technologies paint scheme for our Extra 330 SC for 2020. It's the first time anybody's ever seen it. Hope you guys really like it. And I have to tell you, air shows are going to come back big in the second half of the year. We want you all there with us. Thank you very much. Rob, Matt, Rick, you guys did a great job. Thanks so much. Everybody, we'll see you on the flight line.
I love it. Mike Giuli in there. Thank you so much for participating in this. You know, none of this would be possible without some help from some folks who have been so generous to us. And I say that everything that you're watching today is designed to help put money in the hands of those who need it the most in our industry. And we do have a generous gift from someone that we'd like to thank. Rick?
Lockheed Martin, of course, have stepped up, and we really appreciate it. Your mission is ours, as they say. And to learn more about Lockheed Martin's breakthrough technologies and landmark aircraft, just visit lockheedmartin.com. And we thank them for the gift. And we wanted to thank them back with that this half hour, Matt.
That's right. Well, we do have some really cool stuff coming up in just a few seconds. The F22 is here for us to fly, right? And you can watch it in the comfort of your own living room. As we said yesterday, no porta potties, plenty of shade, and hopefully a comfortable spot to sit. If you'd like to take part in this show, send us a video of where you're watching it on the Instagram feed. I know that Steph will be putting some of that together. But right now, how about we move to the Jets, a little F-22 action.
Hey everyone, this is Major Joshua Cabo Gunderson of the F22 Demo team. We want to say thank you so much to Live Airshow TV and to ICAST for putting on the Socially Distant Air Show. Obviously, we wish we could be out on the road traveling right now, but with everything going on in the world, we've stayed at home and continue to practice each and every week to make sure we're ready to go whenever the season kicks off. We hope you guys enjoy this short clip of our first show this season in Singapore, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the future.
I can't imagine what it would be like to get behind the stick on one of these things. Look at this, the max vertical climb here.
And with the vectored thrust capability of the two engines that power this airplane, it is able to do things that virtually no other airplane can do, including that power loop where they just kind of pivot around the nose and they don't lose any altitude at the end of the loop. Pretty impressive stuff, Rick.
This is the only show that they got in so far this year. They debuted the team this year in Singapore just as this whole COVID thing was starting up. And somehow they managed in Singapore to get their air show underway. They sold half the tickets. They had all sorts of screening getting in there. It got done. The team got back safely. And then, of course, we all found ourselves grounded. And that's why we're here trying to help our industry out and the members of that industry with this socially distant air show. And over Singapore, where it's so humid and the vapes were just so magical, just perfect for the F-22, Rob.
Yeah, if you've ever wondered where those bombs and missiles hide, there was your answer right there. They keep them in there so they can maintain the stealth technology that has made that airplane so invisible to other airplanes. This is so amazing that Cabo, as he works that stick, he's not doing like Michael Giuli is doing. Michael Giuli is directly connected to the control surfaces, but not in this airplane, right, Matt?
Not at all. It's all fly-by-wire, as you can see. Pirouetting there with the pedal turns and all kinds of stuff this F-22 can do. The frontline fighters, 5th generation now. Just incredible to see this thing. To me, this is one of the greatest air show airplanes the Air Force ever built.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they built it.
I'm telling you, it's just spectacular.
We'll see in just a couple of minutes. I forget exactly how far into the clip it is. He does this pedal turn where he just goes around and it's flat. And one of the pilots told me in order to do that, you pull back on the stick with your right hand as hard as you can and jam the opposite rudder, and then it just comes down like that. And that's, you command the computer, and the computer says, I might do that.
Yeah, well, it always seems to do it. People just stand around when this thing flies. From our perspective up on the narrator's tower, you can watch the crowd, and when this jet is in front of everybody, folks are just mesmerized. I mean, standing there with their mouths open when this thing starts to fly. And what a cool chance to see not only inside the cockpit, but also what it is like to be at an air show with this. Truly a spectacular event.
And a dedication, of course, at the end, that wonderful move to Bob Hoover. And Bob Hoover, what I miss most at air shows is actually not only Bob Hoover flying, but also right now is the sound that this jet makes. This thing and the F-35 now, the afterburner and the sound of it, I miss it so much. Man, is this jet loud.
I'm telling you, everybody's wanting to hear more jet sounds. Isn't that the truth? They want to hear the engine noise. Well, we're doing the best we can with what we have. We're doing what we can. But that F-22 is just spectacular in its own right. It's so cool to get a chance to see that. Well, want to bring Steph back on because a lot's been going on in the chat world and the social media world. If you'd like to participate in that, Steph, how can they do that?
We got to get you to unmute.
There we go. I got it. You can, obviously, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you're probably seeing Patty Wagstaff duke it out right now with Mike Giuli. And of course, they're friendly blows, but watching them sort of go after each other is fun. The F-22's there, the Snowbirds are there, the Skyhawks are there, Yak 110, Flying Cowboys are coming in later. So it's a super fun chat. Same on Facebook, F-22 there as well. Lots of folks checking in. Hey, SoCal AirShow review and AirShow stuff, this is for you. Yesterday, you were asking specifically about the A10 demo team paint scheme and if it would come back in its current iteration next year. And what Shiv told me, the demo pilot for the A10, is they're discussing it. There is a new paint scheme in the works. What they ultimately decide to do remains to be seen. So give me your questions, and when I can pass those on to the guys and get the answers back to you in the chat or right here on the broadcast, I will. And a very quick shout out to Howard from the UK checking in, as well as Tam from Kitty Hawk. That's what I've got on the social media side. Back to you guys.
Awesome stuff there. Steph Strickland, our reporter from the social side. Rick, we had a lot of folks writing in the other day from, well, not from the United States of America. They're writing it from Europe. They were writing it from Canada. They wanted a way to give, and I know we have had some updates in that department.
Absolutely. You can now via the website. North America is how the most effective way to make a donation is to text GIVE to the numbers you see on the screen. The website that you see, icastfoundation.org. There's a very quick way if you're in Europe to also contribute, or anywhere else in the world for that matter, Brazil and some of the other places. I know the Italians are joining us in big numbers this hour because the Frecce Tricolori are coming up, and they have one heck of a fan base worldwide. And our hearts have all gone out to Italy and what they've gone through during this crisis. And yet that team has come through for us in a big way, and we can't wait to share that with you coming up, Matt.
Well, it's just spectacular. And Rob and I were talking about this offline that, you know, Italy's been through so much. And then for these performers to all come together, especially our Italian friends, and make what they have made for us, I'm telling you, folks, you don't want to miss a minute of this broadcast. Let's get right into it. Here's something that I think you're all going to like on Thursday. Take a look.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lieutenant Colonel John Caldwell, Thunderbird 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, look to your left as Major Colonel will demonstrate the exceptional climbing performance of the F-16 as she climbs 15,000 feet straight up.
Way to go, Flack. Jason Markson, he's the voice of the Thunderbirds. And Michelle in a vertical roll.
Gotta love them. America's team there, the Thunderbirds, stepping up. They're going to play ball with us on Thursday, and we are looking forward to it. More jet action, though. This thing, it's the best of both worlds. A little jet, two props. Years ago, the Thrasher brothers had those two air coops they tied together. This thing, well, it's unique. I'll say that. Everybody loves it. It's a crowd favorite. I'm talking about Jeff Bourbon, though. What have I missed, guys? We're going to talk about this one as it goes. It's filmed over Huntington Beach. Let's roll some footage here of the Yak 110.
This thing gets its name from, well, basically putting two Yak 55s together, hence the Yak 110. It's math. It's math is what it is.
Math in public. What I love about this is that, you know, the guy is Jeff Bourbon and Dell Collar were kind of sitting around, and they had these two airplanes, and they wanted to do something with it. They were unused, as you know, Jeff likes to say. And so they cut two of the wings off, and they bolted them together, and that's what this is. There's no other way to ask it. At Huntington Beach, where this was filmed, I started asking the audience, I said, how many of you think that Jeff can actually leave one cockpit and crawl to the other cockpit while in flight? And about half of the crowd held their hand up.
I don't think so.
I want to tell you the alcohol level that was involved in the beach. We had a great time out there, though. Everybody's having fun. Look at the differential thrust, though, that he's able to use here on this. I mean, it's just spectacular what he can get out of this thing. And it only goes like about 100. I don't know. It's not very fast. I mean, it's a big behemoth of an airplane, but it just makes a lot of noise.
And Matt, what is that, a J85 underneath? Is that the?
Sure.
Hey, you're the expert.
Yeah, right. Well, folks, listen, the guy at home is the expert. I can guarantee that. No, I don't know what it is on there. I can't remember. It makes a lot of noise. I know this particular engine, though, is doing really well. And it's just a great pleasure to watch Jeff Bourbon and Dell's creation here, the Yak 110.
And again, this happened over an open case of beer in a hangar, sitting around, having a discussion, 2 unused Yak 55s. But once the first cut was made, they had to go through with it. Otherwise, they'd have 2 completely unusable airplanes. They put it all back together. They went through an awful lot of testing. They got it, flying, and it's just been fun to watch. And it's become very rapidly one of the stars on our air show circuit, and we miss it. We want to see it back again, Matt.
Absolutely. You can see that flat spin right there. One engine going, the other one pulled back, and the thing just, man alive, is it incredible to watch. Team Fasttracks, by the way, they have stepped up to help. We have several teams that have stepped up to help that like to jump out of perfectly great airplanes. I don't understand that. Rob, you've done it. And I guess, Rick, you have too, haven't you?
No, I have not. No. I am in no hurry to do it. Thank you very much.
Most people I know who said, the skydivers say there is no such thing as a perfectly good airplane. And so I've done it 3 times with the Golden Knights, and the first 2 times it was such sensory overload. It took me the 3rd time, and the 3rd time I jumped, I was doing a tandem jump, and Wayne Boggs was also doing a tandem jump. He was scared. I've never seen a big guy so frightened. But Team Fasttracks, these guys do canopy relative work with some of the biggest flags any place. I think we should watch this one.
Take a look.
Yeah.
And Rob, these guys are friends of yours, right? They're in your neighborhood.
Yeah, they're right up the road from Cincinnati in a town called Middletown, Ohio. They also operate Start Skydiving there. But watch them as they work their way in. We saw a 5-stack to begin with there, and there we're looking at 1, 2, 3, I don't know how many, 8 or so with the 2 flags. Each of those flags probably 2,500 square feet. And they do huge jumps. And watch them now as they go into a down plane. And Rick, we've seen that with some other teams, but Team Fasttracks, when you see that, that is just one of the most inspiring moments in the world when that flag is coming straight down like that.
Yeah, I love it. When I worked with these guys at one point, and I thought, they're not going to make it. I said, they're still like 8,000 feet. And the narrator turns to me and says, oh, don't worry, they're going to make it. And when they do that down plane, I mean, it just, boy, the crowd goes crazy.
So they say that when you jump out of an airplane, and I'm going to take their word for it, because once again, this is not something that is on my bucket list by any means at all, ever. The terminal velocity is that wind is the air feels like a giant pillow. You can actually, you can almost wrap your arms around it. It's pushing back on you. You don't think you're ever going to hit the ground, but of course you are if you don't open the chute. And that's where you lose me at that very point. I do not want to experience the feeling of just falling out of an airplane.
Oh, the fall is not the problem, Rick. It's the sudden stop.
Well, Team Fasttracks, thank you so much for all that you've done for our industry and for submitting here to the Socially Distant Air Show. Just look at that footage. Remarkable to get to do it. Unfortunately, Rick Peterson will never get a chance to see that. However, if you text enough to give, we might consider tossing old Ricky P out of an airplane at some point.
And I'm up in the land of healthcare, paid for healthcare. I'm still not going to jump out of an airplane. That's just not going to happen.
I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty cool. The Golden Knights airplane's just down the street from us right now. I saw it the other day out at the airport, getting some work done on it, I guess. But pretty cool.
This guy has the worst luck in the world. Our next guy, right, Matt?
Yeah, he does. I don't even know where to begin. But our good friend Dewey Larson was just ready. He was so ready for Top Gun to come out, and this darn virus has gotten in there, and now they've delayed the movie a little bit. But Dewey always he's always on the sunny side, and he's always looking at the bright side of life, and Dream Big is here now with their contribution to the Socially Distant Air Show. Take a look.
Hey everybody, I'm Dewey Larson with Dream Big Entertainment. Welcome to the Air Show. Wait, what? Oh, maybe this is better. Hey everybody, I'm Dewey Larson with Dream Big Entertainment. And we're so excited to have you here at the Not So Air Show. We're social distancing right now, but we wanted to take this opportunity and introduce the air show world to the new Dream Big Top Gun Maverick Edition F-18 Hornet. We're so excited about it this year. We're bummed that the movie got pushed, but we're going to see you on the ramp soon. So let's take a look. Captain Pete Mitchell Maverick, you're going to see it at the theaters December 23rd. We're kind of bummed that it didn't release this summer, but that's okay. We're excited to have this thing anyway, and that just adds another year of excitement to us. See the kill markings there? We got our Maverick here. Got the cockpit inside. It's absolutely beautiful. You know, whenever you're seeing me at an air show, we put you in a helmet just like that. And then we step back and we let you take it in. And then we take some pictures of it so that you can keep it as a memory of your visit. So be sure to watch for us. The Top Gun Dream Big experience at an air show near you, 2020 and beyond.
Dewey, well, we look forward to seeing you back out on the road with Maverick and your F-18. I still think we're going to get.
He invests in buying an F-18 cockpit.
I know.
He paints it up. He invests in painting it all. This is going to be the big year. We're going to get the bump from the movie, and all this happens. He's not going anywhere. And the movie is now going to come out in December, just before Christmas. And Dewey, I don't know how he stays that happy, but he does, Matt.
Well, I still think he's going to get a bump out of it, don't you, Rob? I mean,
I think what he'll do is he'll find some theater and park that thing out in front and make a fortune. People coming out and say, "I want a picture."
But you know what? I got to brag on Dewey just a second, because the fans who are watching this know this. But Dewey will not turn anybody away. If you just show up, if you can help Dewey out at an air show and give him a few dollars, he'd love it. But there's not going to be anybody turned away. I mean, this guy just loves this, and there's so many people like that in our business. This next guy, though, he's nuts. He's just crazy. There's no other way to say it. Randy Ball, a sixth-generation Texan, flies a MiG-17 like nobody else on Earth. And here's what he sent us.
The old MiG-15 didn't have an afterburner, but the MiG-17F does, and it's so unique. And that's why we're seeing this nighttime shot, because you can see the burner better than any time during the day. The flame is very unique, isn't it, Rick?
It is, and I don't think anybody has more time at jet demonstrations and air shows in North America, if not the world, than Randy Ball. And he has a ball in this jet, literally, and especially likes to make it shine at these twilight shows where you get to see that burner. During the day, it's pretty brilliant as well, but he does some very fast speeds, at times over 600 knots. The airplane could, at times, even press supersonic, which is pretty impressive for a jet in its time. And up until the F-16, it had the tightest turning radius of any jet fighter. Very formidable aircraft. Matt?
Burns the hairs right off the Gophers in that pass. Look at that. I love watching Randy. You know, we were well, why not? We were out at Rhode Island one year, the only year he's ever flown the show, and I warned everybody at this beach club. I said, put your drinks down. I'm telling you, put your drinks down, because Randy's coming. He came over the deck, and as soon as the afterburner cleared and you could hear again, all you could hear were the shattering of champagne glasses as they hit the deck. He loves to fly this thing low and fast.
He had a great uncle by the name of Gilbert Ball. He used to tell him stories when he was a kid. Gilbert flew B-17s in World War II, 51 combat missions, and I think that's the guy who inspired Randy to fly. Got flying when he was like 13. It's now had over 18,000 hours and 13, as you say, Rick, 1,300 performances in that thing. And are we thinking Mark McGinn? I think.
Yeah,
Mark and Angela Harris. Yeah, Mark and Angela Harris both. Onboard images there.
And they hang the cameras wherever they can, in the cockpit, under the jet, looking back, always trying to find that unusual angle, and they do a great job.
And I even saw Aaron in the video there. His crew chief, Aaron, made an appearance there right toward the end. You can't do it without the crew chiefs. You can't do it without the folks that actually build these jets and these airplanes. They didn't build Randy's, but Lockheed Martin, our thanks to you. And what a generous gift. I think we even have a video, don't we, Rick?
Yes, we do. Let's hear from the Lockheed Martin people as we thank them.
You know, guys, you do a socially distant air show, becomes the largest aviation event in the world, sadly. You get people that want to sign up and help out and pay thanks. We do a podcast, the Show Center podcast. We get a hot dog stand. You know, Friendly Jerry's. Thanks, Friendly Jerry. My goodness. All right, moving right along. Ricky P, what do we have coming up next? Because this next half hour is equally action-packed, and we want to get right to the action. What do we have, Rick?
Absolutely. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to turn back and get some of the history that you wanted to see as well. Scott Yoke is going to be here with his beautiful Mustang Quicksilver, the P-51. We're also going to see Kirby Chambliss, another amazing aerobatic pilot, the 23 Color. You're coming up with their team performance in the red, the green, and the white, and we can't wait to share that with you. And this half hour brought to you by the a generous contribution, of course, that came in from Geico, and Geico Skytypers Airshow team is the way we'd like to get this half hour started, Rob.
Yes, indeed. The Geico Skytypers, they have the privilege of presenting 6 iconic World War II military trainers. Their airshow philosophy is to design their routine narration around how pilots, both past and present, are taught different formations and maneuvers. And they honor the military and their service at every airshow. And this year being the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II, they will continue that as soon as they get back up in the air. And in light of the current world events, they'll also salute the healthcare workers that are now on the front lines in the fight against COVID-19. Let's enjoy their short presentation, starting with the Delta Belly Pass.
We have picked 3 of our most popular maneuvers and will explain how we perform them. They are the 4 versus 2, implosion, and delta pitch.
The 4v2 represents a head-to-head air-to-air pass between aircraft in a 4-ship and a 2-ship with a little bit of a twist. It occurs in a 2G turn.
My job as flight lead is to set the maneuver with a 2G turn while my wingmen are in a strong left formation. It is important to be smooth since the wingmen overlap by 6 feet. This tight turn must be executed precisely and held through the hit with the 2-ship in order to be predictable. All this occurs in just 6 seconds.
As lead solo, my job is to reference the 4-ship and call for smoke on to start our turn towards each other. Since I am more maneuverable, Boss provides the stable platform I need to get to the exact position crowd side at Show Center. This represents 2 aircraft in air combat passing close to deny any additional turning room to their opponent.
As you can see, it is exciting from all perspectives. Our next maneuver, the implosion, came from an idea of what if. What if instead of us performing a bomb burst and all the aircraft fly away from each other, we design a maneuver where we all fly towards each other and from within an established formation?
Yes, this was interesting. The purpose is to be unpredictable when a bogey or unidentified aircraft is behind you and you need to defend against a possible attack. Our idea was to start in a delta formation, use 3 different levels of action close to each other, and separate with aircraft going in opposite directions. We started with the positions of the aircraft, where we wanted them to end up, and how to get them there.
I bring the delta formation towards the crowd and ensure I have the energy and distance to start the maneuver. As we all smoke, I call an execution command to start 4 aircraft moving simultaneously. Standby, 1 action. I fly up and left. The slot pilot flies up and right, that's 1 level. The 2 solos push over and turn towards each other to cross, that's 2 levels. Then within 1 second, the 2 remaining wingmen cross their paths level, that's 3 levels.
To end the maneuver, our number 3 aircraft calls for the smoke to stop. Then we just have to figure out how to rejoin.
Our third maneuver is one of our favorites, the delta pitch or break to land. This is how we end our performance, with a delta formation that rolls out in front of the crowd and pitches up to separate from our formation and enter a landing pattern. Normal tactics dictate that we fly 1,000 feet over the runway in a line abreast formation and execute a 3 to 4G break to land.
However, we like to get up close and personal with the crowd, so our pitch at 200 feet is way more exciting. There's a 4-second timing between aircraft as they pitch up with a 3.5G pull, followed by a 2G turn to downwind to line up for landing.
We practice the cadence for smoke, pitch, roll, and pull many times to get as synchronized as possible, always looking for ways to make the show more visually appealing to the crowd. Those are only 3 of our popular maneuvers. We look forward to performing them in person at an air show near you once COVID-19 is contained. Our website, GeicoSkytypers.com, will be updated with our most current 2020 schedule as we receive the status from our airshow organizers. Fans can also get a behind-the-scenes perspective by following us at Geico Skytypers on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We rely and appreciate on our associate sponsors and Geico for their support.
Great fun there, Geico. Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you, Larry Arkin and Steve Salmers. It's a good the description of how they do the levels. I think that's pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely, it is. I want to bring Steph Strickland back in. We missed her. We skipped right over Steph. Steph.
All right, no worries.
Thanks for coming back. What's
My
going
pleasure. I have been super busy on the chat. Actually, the Flying Cowboys have now joined in. We had Jeff Bourbon offer or just question who wanted to ride in the Yak 110, and you can imagine how quickly I had trouble keeping up with the stream from there. Want to give a quick shout out to Pete on Facebook, who loves anything and anytime he sees Afterburners. Deborah, of course, loving the Thunderbirds, so she's very much so looking forward to that. And then we've got the Italians starting to check in. It's later in the evening there, but they are getting ready for what we have in store for you in just a bit. So I want to give a quick hello to Marco, and I'm going to go get back on the chat. People also really enjoying what Geico brought to the table as well.
Hey, before you run off, this next video came from our friends there at AIRSHOW Stuff, a partner website within the airshow business and run by some young guys, Ryan and Ricky and all that team down there. Help fill us in a little bit of this, because there's so many folks that love this, and everybody wants to text and donate and make a contribution to this. But talk to us a little bit about AIRSHOW Stuff, their stuff.
Oh, they're fantastic. In fact, if you're on the chat, if you're watching this right now, all you have to do is ping them. They would be happy to engage with you directly. So a bunch of folks are there. And we even, Matt, have a video that features them that's coming up later in our broadcast, more towards the end of the second hour. And so you get a chance to sort of say hi to the staff and the folks there. I've had a really good time working with them at air shows across the way, but they're on the chat. So you can hop on in and come check this all out yourself. Is
it coming up next? I think it might be coming up next. Yeah, it is coming up next. But I haven't read it. You probably know.
Hold my notes.
There you go. Strickland, thanks for coming on. Always great to hear your voice, and appreciate all the work you're doing. All right, guys, we're going to roll into the airshow stuff. This is phantoms only, we're told.
If somebody said, it'd be nice if we could actually, and because it's this kind of an air show, we can roll back the hands of time. We can make anything happen because it's magical, isn't it? The weather's perfect. We don't have to worry. There's, you can smoke them if you want them. We don't even have to make no smoking announcements during this performance. That's up to you in your own home. But to have the Phantom back, we have to thank AIRSHOW Stuff. Look at that, Matt.
I love the Phantom, the double ugly, as my father-in-law loves to call it. What a great airplane there. Hey, Rob, did you ever get to fly in a Phantom?
Never did. Got to sit in them, but never flew. But the idea of, I think, 2 J79s doing that and getting it up to Mach 2.5, that's pretty impressive stuff. And to think that they had such an ignominious end to their lives as targets, right, Rick?
That's right. Basically being targets, then turning them into drones. And then just recently, the Japanese have continued to fly them. And the last of those have been flying over Japan. And of course, the plane spotters around the world have made a big deal out of it. And good on AIRSHOW Stuff to put their finger on the pulse of that, as they do, traveling around with us at air shows, bringing those kinds of stories to everything they do at AIRSHOW Stuff. and making sure that the Phantom had a part in our show here, Matt. That was fun.
Where's your helmet, Rob? You can't show Phantom video without wearing a helmet.
I'll go over and get it.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, don't encourage him. Don't
Well,
encourage him.
While you're getting your helmet, another guy that wears his helmet down to the grocery store, and probably is right now, is our good buddy Scott Yoke. Now, he will do it without his shirt on because he's got those huge overdeveloped arms now with all that protein and workout stuff he's doing. Scooter's into everything, isn't he, guys?
He's a muscle guy.
He's just into everything now. I mean, he's reworking the engine, I think. Quicksilver's got a new engine, but before he took it down, he was able to send us some video, and I think you're really going to like it. This is some great stuff from our good friend Scott, Scooter Yoke, and Quicksilver.
And just listen. This is probably going to be the best time to listen and hear nothing but airplanes.
Mustang routines out there right now, and I'm telling you, when you watch him fly the P-51, it's a memorable experience. Is it not, guys? I mean, it truly an outstanding routine.
Crisp and clean, the way he flies, and he takes it so seriously. Again, entering, making sure he's got all the right speeds. He flies this airplane with a great deal of respect. The paint job on it too, what a story Quicksilver has. Every speck of paint lends itself to the story, culminating of course with polished metal in which you see yourself. Of course, those being people of our generation that live freely now, and you see yourself as the last point that he makes about flying this airplane and the freedoms that we enjoy today. Again, he and his father put an awful lot of time, his late father, in putting this thing together, Rob, and it is a thing of beauty.
The late Bill Yoke was a craftsman. As a matter of fact, when they did this airplane, they had to craft some of the parts from plans that didn't exist, and so they were actually made not in the hurried wartime effort, but with the skill and care of a master craftsman, making those parts better than factory new.
Well, our thanks to Scott Yoke for submitting that video. And I'll tell you what, go visit his website later tonight and read the story on why that paint scheme is the way it is, because a lot of people, they've never taken the time to read that. And I'll tell you, if you're an AIRSHOW fan or if you like Mustangs, go read it, because Bill and Scott did such a great job. And his mother, Linda, who runs a pet rescue for folks who are deployed. So if you're in the West Virginia area, that whole family just doing their part to pay tribute and to do great things for the service.
Forgotten the name of the pet goose, but the goose is almost always there on the Facebook page with Linda.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Steph, you still hanging out? You want to come back? You there? We have you on the schedule now. You want to come back and say hi?
I do, actually. I just got a really nice message from Jana. Jana is with the Extended Care Oakview Place, and the folks who are staying there under her care and everyone else's are watching right now and having a great time. So Jana, thanks for letting the residents check that out. And also Aviator 13, who's on our YouTube chat right now, is saying that the P-51 is a beautiful machine. Like, I need to tell any of you that. We all know that.
That's right. Well, thank you for all you're doing, and we appreciate the donations that are rolling in. You know, Larry Strain has been such a huge part of our air show family, and he sent in a little video here to tell everybody hello. We wanted to roll that.
Hi, Larry Strain from sunny Florida. I don't think so. Can you believe the action that we've got going here on Live Air Show TV? A hand salute to Rick and Rob and Matt for putting together such a fabulous show, and there's a lot more to come. I wanted to remind you, though, that this was put together to support the International Council of Air Shows, that's ICAS, the foundation. It was developed to help associates in our business that are in trouble, financially or any other way. And we'd like to ask that you would contribute a little something today if you feel like it. You know, we've got like announcers and air bosses, some of whom sole income is derived from air shows, and of course there are none. So they are in dire straits. So we would really appreciate it if you could, no matter how small, just send a few bucks in to the International Council of Air Shows Foundation. It would help a lot of people, and we would appreciate it. Now, we got lots more to come, so let's get back to all the action.
All right, Rick, what's coming up next? We have a whole bunch of good stuff coming down the pipe, but what do you have for us next?
Absolutely, and great to hear from Larry, because that is why we're here. It's what it's all about, is helping those in our industry. So call that number, text to the number below. And of course, you can give online as well if you're over in Europe, because the Europeans must be joining us in big numbers right now. I would imagine the Italians at least, because the Frecce Tricolori are coming up here. The Viper Demo is coming up as well in our broadcast before we're done. And before today is done, in the next hour, we have not one military team, but two. The Brazilians are going to join us, and from Canada, the Snowbirds are going to join us as well. So that's all still ahead, Matt.
I love it. Well, we're going to have a great time with all of that. But right now, one of Rob's buddies, Kirby Chambliss from out in Arizona, has sent us a video. Rob, what did Kirby have in store, or what does he have in store, I should say?
Well, Kirby is out on the Flying Crown Ranch, where he lives with his family and a number of different airplanes. But this Red Bull air racer is a guy who has proven himself not only in the aerobatic and competition worlds, but also air shows. But he was the youngest professional aviator at Southwest Airlines at 24 years old, and by the time he was 28, he was a captain. Why don't we take a look at the Red Bull Edge 540 of Kirby Chambliss.
And another sunset show, and he just loves to get up there and chase that sunset. Kirby has gone up. He's got a little light display he puts on the airplane at times as well with the LED lights. He's gone up at sunset time to chase hot air balloons. This is a man who often takes his daughter to school in his ultralight Fischler store, where the Warbird people start jumping on me for how I pronounced that airplane. But he can, the nearby airport, he will take her to school sometimes. And of course, the whole family are flyers, Matt.
Oh, he was talking about that on the podcast, on the Show Center podcast. I'm glad you brought that up. One of my favorite stories was him telling that about flying his daughter to school. Just look at these vertical rolls here, rolls on the down line. I'm looking at it. Make you dizzy there, Rob Ryder. You do that in your RV, don't you? Every time you go out.
I do. Yeah, sure. Every time. No, I don't pull G's very well, but he's a monster when it comes to pulling G's. It doesn't seem to bother him at all. And the violence, the aggressiveness, and yet the grace and style with which he flies, including what he does on his takeoff with the Cobra maneuver, where he brings it almost to a complete stop right after he pulls it off the ground. This guy has proven himself and has won 2 Red Bull Air Race World Championships and 13 medals in aerobatic competition. He is killer good.
I'm just watching it.
I've had the chance to put a GoPro camera right on his face throughout a routine. When I'm editing video, I can't. It just cracks me up. One of the most entertaining things to do is edit his video after a performance, because the grin and the smiles on this man's face as the rest of his team participates with him, whether that's Aaron, rolling the helicopter, or the jumpers, the skydivers, the swoopers, and those flying the bat suits too. He loves every minute of it and entertaining you. And one of our great performers, Kirby Chambliss. Matt?
Don't say bat on this broadcast. don't want anything to do
with
bats right now. Look at Kirby Jamlis. Awesome job there, Kirby. I don't want to stop the pace because I want you to see what's coming up with this F-16 demo. This was a last-minute ad. You might even see our own Steph Strickland make an appearance, but check out this little thing of what's to come here.
We don't have a video, or we do have a video?
I don't think we have video, Matt. You've had one of those crazy moments.
No, we did have it. Oh, come on.
Drinking game. Time to have one, folks. There it was right there. We knew that was going to happen. You know what the time is, though?
Here, look, it even says no video.
Yeah.
You like that? There we go.
All right. That was bound to happen.
That was good. Well, let's keep it going because we have the Italians up next.
Yes, we do. And this
I can't even say pasta. So
some of the hardest moments to watch through this COVID crisis have come from Italy. Some of the images that we have seen, what those people have been through. And at the same time, some of the most beautiful moments have come from Italy as well. Whether we have seen opera being sung, in the squares, or Italians singing to one another in balconies. And of course, one of the great moments too was the F22 Tricolori flying with the national colors along the coastline. And so can I do this? Can I just hand over to them now? Because I think the Italians are joining us, and our hearts go out to you as well. From us to you too. Here's the F22 Tricolori.
I watched this video right when it came in, Rick, and I don't know if it was the same reaction, but I just couldn't believe what they had sent us. I mean, it's theatrical, it's beautiful, just like watching a ballet up here.
These Italian-made jets lend themselves very, very well to what it is they do. They're very proud about that. The squadron, of course, has been around a long time, flying multiple jets over the years, and they are by far a crowd favorite. Not to take anything away from the Red Arrows or the Swiss or the French teams, but there's something about this Italian team that just gets into the hearts of anyone who sees them. We really hope to see them over in North America sometime soon as well. They have a soloist who is almost a comedic act, and you'll see that in just a few moments. And some of their formations, they have enough airplanes in the sky, as you can see, that they can actually break into two jet teams. They are on stage almost all the time, and it is one of the most colorful things to watch as well, with their thick, colorful smoke. Rob?
Yes, indeed. We see white. We see the colors of Italy as well. And from inside, well, there you go. The kind of uniqueness and creativity that the Italians, because of their love of art, I think it's moved right into aviation for all of them.
And again, setting up to even see tail slides with these aircraft, much like the L-39 can do, and yet, as their soloist performs some of the outrageous maneuvers while the team repositions again to come right back on stage. And again, it's done colorfully, it's done to dramatic music, often some opera, as you see again the signature colors as the team does one of their famous breaks.
And of course, the smoke that they're using, that they're generating, all from a lightweight paraffin-based oil, just about as safe as you can get. It's almost good for the environment, this stuff. Very safe to use, though. Check this out. Rick, what is this? This is always one of my favorites. They do these rolls around each other.
And then reform again and come back in and coordinate this and time it. This takes an awful lot of practice. This takes the kind of teamwork that the military is known for. And again, none of these maneuvers really are anything outside of what a fighter pilot or someone training to fly for the military has to do. They just coordinate it and put it together in a beautiful choreography. And this is, look at that as the fan breaks. And we get set up now for the signature move is coming up. There is the soloist again having a great time. And we get this rare look inside to be able to see how this is being done. And we thank them so much for sending this exclusive footage to be able to see them working it from inside and outside. But here it comes. The soloist now coming in on the team, breaks out through the middle and up behind. And as he comes up through, we see that famous red, green and white. And our hearts go out to Italy, and we thank them for sharing the F22 Tricolori performance with us here on the Socially Distant Air Show.
The three of us were truly moved. Were we not when they sent this in? I mean, I just couldn't believe it. To have Italians and their support, it's truly, truly special. We thank you all, especially all of those who are watching.
And if I could thank Gilbert Buchenbergs, too, over in Belgium for being the translator working in between, because without his help, it wasn't going so well in our email connections and trying to break it down into a language that we could all understand. But Gilbert speaks the international language of AIRSHOW. So thank you very much. And of course, we wish him luck in Sanacol and in Belgium, too. Matt?
Well, big thanks to Geico again for their help on this half hour with all that they've given to us. And again, every nickel that you spend goes straight into the hands of those who need it. We said this yesterday. I just think it's worth bringing up again that financial experts would tell you to raise anywhere between 3 and 6 months of income and keep that in the bank, right? And we're looking now between just the three of us here at losing shows as far out as October. And I don't want to say that it's not us canceling these shows. It's just we just can't have them right now, according to these municipalities and with everything that's going on. So I don't know where this is going. I don't know how long it's going to go, but we want to be there if our friends and family need the help. And so that's what this is all about.
And some people may not understand that, you have shows canceling in September, you have shows canceling into the fall. Each show is unique in what it has to get done in the line of getting things done for the planning. Air shows take sometimes years, 2-year cycles to be able to pull it together, get all the volunteers, get everybody in and on time. Contracts, commitments have to be made by certain dates. So that's why we hear about some of the shows, canceling this far ahead. And yet there may be some shows that are still hopeful to be up and going as early as July, but only time will tell, Rob.
Yeah, and that time is what becomes a very, very big issue for some of the folks in our industry who depend upon this as their livelihood. And so that's why we hope that you will look at the number on your screen, check out the icastfoundation.org and make a contribution to support the members of our AirShow family, just as folks in the music business and other entertainment venues, if you will, have done similar kinds of fundraisers. We're just doing it for our own family, and we hope you are enjoying what you're seeing here, and we'll reach into the pocket just a little bit and help out those folks who are going to need it here as the time goes on, as the season continues to be in a season on hold, so to speak. Matt?
That's right. And again, a big thanks to Geico as well for their help in this half hour. Do we have a video? We want to run a video here. Rick, what are we going to do?
Geico have been a great supporter, and of course, we thank them for their generous gift. And as we began this segment with the Geico Skytypers AirShow team, Rob, they're back again with just a quick sizzle reel before we move into the next hour with not one, but 2 military teams coming up, the Snowbirds and the Brazilian Smoke Squadron.
Yes, indeed. These airplanes flown by the Geico Skytypers not only do air shows, but they have been seen around the country even since the COVID-19 outbreak, doing their messages in the sky, where they will put 5 airplanes line abreast at 9,500 or 10,000 feet above the ground. All in formation with the guys looking 90 degrees to right and left to the lead, Larry Arkin's airplane. Each of the letters in these messages are as high as the Empire State Building, and they can be seen sometimes as many as 400 square miles with their messages, and they have brought messages of hope. During this period of time, they've also done messages of humor. They've also done patriotic messages and even marriage proposals. And the Geico Skytypers, Larry Arkin, and all the guys have been crowd pleasers and winners of the Art Scholl Memorial Showmanship Award just a few years back. We thank them for their participation in the socially distant air show.
Steve Kapoor is responsible for the spelling errors, by the way, Matt.
I'm never going to forgive him, though. That one time we were all doing the air show together, and all they wrote was "shut up." What are you going to do, right? The Geico Skytypers and Geico, we thank you so much for your help. This next half hour, as Rick said, just action-packed. The only thing about the Geico Skytypers, and you can see him there, just right there at the end, is Larry. He's always yelling like that pig, or is it the pig in the back seat? Squealing the whole time on the radio when you try and go live to the cockpit. Our next half hour, though, is courtesy of our friends there at Live AirShow TV, and we couldn't do this broadcast without it. It just wouldn't be possible. And part of this broadcast, well, the vast majority of it is happening, as you see, but also on the social side. I want to bring Steph Strickland back in here just to talk a little bit about it. Steph, is Matt Yonkin in the chat room yet, or his crew chief, Jeff? Are they in there?
There are so many people in the chat room right now. I'm actually having a hard time keeping up with all of it. It's been fantastic. People loved the Italian team, and obviously would love to see the Italians come tour the United States. We've got Kyla on Facebook saying this is absolutely incredible. Kelly saying fantastico, which I love. Deborah, by the way, checking in from Ontario, Canada. The Skyhawks as well as the Canadian Snowbirds are now in the chat. Flying Cowboys are in the chat as well, both on Facebook and on our YouTube. And Pablo just wanted to drop by and say that he's super excited for the Brazilian team. So that's what we've got going on right now in the chat.
And you can chat in French, by the way, with the Canadians on board. A lot of the Skyhawks, of course, Skyhawks, and the Snowbirds. But a chance to actually connect with them, as Steph pointed out in the chat rooms. Matt?
What was that, Rob? Go ahead.
Well, I just want to jump in. This is something that we are able to do here that you really can't do at a normal air show, and have this kind of interplay and connection with the performers themselves. So that makes this very unique, very fun, very exciting, and gets everybody involved on a level that we've not been able to do it heretofore.
All right, Rob, before you duck out, tell everybody about the Brazilians, because you're one of the only guys on the team who can do it justice. Give us the name of the smoke squadron.
Okay, Esquadrilha da Fumaça.
I like
it. But that it means smoke squadron, and they've been here in the United States a couple of times. And talk about a bunch of guys who are excited about performing in these Tucano turboprop aircraft.
I love it. Let's take them. Yeah, here we go.
Formation takeoff. Imagine that. Something the Snowbirds on the wider runways have done as well in the past, but this is not easy flying as they lift off and begin. Look at the picturesque. I mean, it's just beautiful over Rio.
That's the Christ the Redeemer statue there at Rio de Janeiro.
And one of the things I love about this team is the use of this Tucano. That is such a great formation airplane, is it not? I mean, just look at this thing.
It sounds like a gathering of bees. It's just it's fun to. The turboprops are quiet, but they make just a unique sound. But it lends itself very well. And as you can see, this airplane is capable of looking and flying very much like the jet teams do. The jet prop, of course, but they have built in some beautiful choreography as well. Rob.
Yeah, and the turboprop engines that help them get through the air so well. They've got plenty of shaft horsepower, which gives them actually probably what I would consider to be a little bit better power to weight ratio than the Tudors of the Snowbirds. And so they have set a record actually as a team, flying the entire formation upside down. Now there we have 3 and 3. But they set a record certified by the Guinness Book of World Records, all the airplanes flying inverted for longer than any other team anywhere. The straight wings are also a big help as they do that great cross.
I think I almost set a record for inverted time too during this whole quarantine thing. I've been laying on the couch so much here. Just no fun. But take a look at these guys. I mean, every video clip that they have sent us looks like it's straight out of the cinema. Just spectacular stuff.
Now, here's the good news about this team, too. They've come the last 2 years to the International Council of Airshows convention in Las Vegas, booking North American appearances. And we're getting shows. Wouldn't you know, this was a year where we were going to hope to see this team a lot more in North America. And this has happened to our season. But we're able to bring it to you here at the Socially Distant Air Show and give you a look at it, and hopefully if the season does manage to pick up again before the year is over, that you'll get a chance to see them somewhere in North America as well, and if not next season. But they do look absolutely beautiful, and it's very unique, Matt.
I love that cross right there. Look at that.
A roll and a quarter.
Oh my goodness. I love it. One of my favorite maneuvers there, especially when it's head on like that. Now look at this guy. Looks like Rob Holland there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But that's that power to weight ratio that PT, I believe it's a PT6 Pratt & Whitney turboprop. And if I'm wrong about that, let us know in the chat, because if we say something, and it's different than what you know, you guys are right.
And I believe it's Pratt & Whitney, Canada, if I might say as well, and Longueuil, Quebec is where that engine is put together. Wasn't that wonderful? And we have another military team coming up in the next half hour. The Snowbirds will be joining us from Canada. Matt?
That's right. Well, I love this next guy. Matt Yonkin sent us a video. He and his crew chief, Jeff Gibbs, and really the whole family's in it, including his new dog, COVID. Wonder where he got that name. But take a look at what the Yonkin family sent us. You're going to like it.
Welcome to socially distant Siloam Springs, Arkansas. I'm here with my two faithful companions, Captain and COVID, our brand new shelter puppy that we adopted as a result of our ever-changing lifestyle. Now, Captain, you've probably met over the years at air shows because he traveled with us for a couple of years, and he has more flying time in a Beech 18 than most living people. But COVID here has never been in an airplane before, so the mission of today's flight is to take COVID for his very first airplane ride.
And now, a word from our crew chief. Screw ADSB. I'll either fix it or fix it where no one can.
So while everybody's loading up, check out these clips of this airplane doing what it does for a living.
Freight hauler, I think, as you guys said earlier.
And the UFO sightings that get reported when he's flying at night are off the charts. I think the police just hate it when he flies at night because the phone switchboard just lights up. The light show he does as his night show is spectacular, all set to the music of the Phantom of the Opera, and it's absolutely beautiful and something, again, that we missed terribly this season.
Well, it isn't so much noise, too. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I was going to say right there, he's doing what they call the baby elephant waltz, and he goes in excess of 90 degrees of bank in this airplane, and with the wheels down, causing a lot of drag. It's an amazing demonstration of piloting skill in an airplane that was never supposed to be aerobatic.
Okay, righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. And remember, snug is sufficient.
All right, while Tyler turns her through, we're going to go ahead and get the rest of the family all situated. Meet my beautiful wife, Christy, and my co-pilot, Robert. Looks like Captain and COVID are ready to go. Well, that was a lot of fun. I hope the rest of y'all are enjoying your afternoon much the same way that we are. We'd like to send out a special thank you to all of our sponsors, our friends, and our airshow family who are watching and also participating in this event. We'd encourage you to check us out at yunkinair.com and also give us a like on Yunkin Air Shows on Facebook. Thanks again for watching, tuning in today. Take care, stay safe, and stay well.
Remember, crossthread's better than no thread.
Words of wisdom there from Crew Chief Gibbs. Hey, did you notice the shirts that they had on there? A little inside baseball. I'll explain it here. A little dig at the Shetterly Squadron and Dewey and Adam Baker. It said "No Bros Required" on their shirts there. So we'll see some more from the Shetterleys, and I'm sure they'll have their shirts on there. The Bro Show, the two brothers that put on a heck of an air show together. What do we have coming up next, guys? Looks like just more action. Skip Stewart still to come. And
Skip Stewart's coming up. Anna Serbenyenko, a fine Canadian performer, and it's so graceful. And speaking of Canadian assets that just leave you in awe, the Canadian Warplane Heritage in Hamilton, Ontario's Lancaster is coming up. One of only 2 flying Lancasters in the world today. Kevin Coleman, and of course, we've got lots more as we get into the final half hour of day 2 that will include the Canadian Skyhawks and the Canadian Snowbirds. So a lot of red and white coming up in the program today. Rob?
Yes, indeed. And as long as we're being international, why don't we go to Ilopango and that air show with our buddy from Memphis, Tennessee, a young man who flies a very, very graceful aerobatic routine.
Skip Stewart, take it away.
This airplane is known as Prometheus, and he's got a whole story about how Zeus just gave to the people of Earth the power of fire. And but this is the muscle plane of the first ilk. Watch this. This is so amazing what he does on this takeoff, because he gets off the ground and almost puts it into knife. It goes into knife edge flight, just literally feet above the ground. Talk about control, Rick.
I still, you know, if you get a chance to know Skip at all, and we've had many conversations with him, and sometimes I need a decoder ring on to do it. He does have the drawl. He is from the South, but he loves to fly. But if you know him at all, you wonder how he knew about mythology at all. You know, like he doesn't seem like the most well-read person, if you know what I mean. But Prometheus is what it is, Matt.
Well, if Elvis were an air show pilot, he would be like Skip Stewart, I think.
Thank you very much. He does. He speaks just like Elvis. That's very good. That's exactly what he speaks like, Rob.
Yeah, and he is really, he puts on one of the most grueling routines. He keeps it rolling like crazy, and he does these outside snap rolls, which are just violent as can be. You know, the inside snap roll will keep a lot of negative G on you. That's okay, but the outside snap starts to want to throw you out of the cockpit, and he'll go sideways, upside down, does tail slides, torque rolls, and then has his very unique ribbon cut, Matt.
I love watching Skip Stewart fly, and so do the fans. Check out that 360 video, though. Look at this. Gives you a great understanding of what he is doing in the cockpit. Look at the ailerons there. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to seeing the new airplane come out, too.
Well, if you're an RC guy like Matt is, and you know, you understand that Skip came from that world too, that he basically wanted an airplane that flew like you would if you were standing on the ground and flying it. And it's kind of got an RC model technology thing to it. And it's basically a full-size model with a human being in it, and he just flies the heck out of it, Rob.
Yeah, the power to weight ratio, it's got about a 400 horsepower motor, I think, and makes it the muscle plane that we talk about. And that kind of power, that kind of agility, and that kind of skill gives us, whoa, going underneath ribbons. He's got 2 ribbons that are stretched. You can see them in the screen. He goes under them the first time. Then the next pass through, he's going to go through and cut inverted only the top ribbon. So watch him as he approaches. He'll roll it on his back, and then just 18 feet above the ground, take off the top ribbon. The next ribbon is only 10 feet off the ground. Now, when he does it, so you can see the ribbon actually is hanging off the airplane that he just cut. But watch it. He goes into a knife edge descent. This is very tough to arrest and to keep in proper position, and bingo, there's the money shot. That's Skip Stewart. Very unique ribbon cut from the guy from Memphis, Tennessee.
I'm sorry, Rob. We could see you talking, but we couldn't hear anything.
Are you serious?
Rob, are you there?
No, we're not serious.
No, I'm kidding.
Get him every time with that, by the way. That's one of our podcast things. Sorry.
All right, let's bring Steph in real quick, because we want to get straight to Steph and into the chat room. I was talking to Matt Yonkin via text, and he said he finally figured it out, so I know he's in there.
That's good. That's good. There has been a lot of chatter. I want to give a quick hello to Paul Harrop with AOPA, who's joining us. Super excited to see the Snowbirds. By the way, the Snowbird team lead, Major DuPont, is actually over on YouTube right now, and other Snowbirds are over on Facebook. So you can bounce back and forth between the chats for both if you would like to chat with them. Also, hello to Flight Shops out there watching on the stream. Flying Cowboys are now coming into the chat as well. And then finally, we do still have your videos that you sent us from Instagram that we really look forward to sharing with you here in just a little bit in the broadcast.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. I mean, how cool is it that everybody's taking part in this? And again, every dollar that you donate today, whether it's 1 or 5, we don't care. Just if you can give a little bit, every little bit helps, and it all stays with the folks that you want it to stay with, even down to the transaction fee. I don't want to get into the weeds, but I mean, when we say every dollar, Rick can attest to this. We mean every dollar that you spend goes to those folks. So we do appreciate that. Coming up on Thursday, though, America's team, the Thunderbirds, will be joining us, and they sent us a little video to kind of roll ahead with and get excited about. Take a look.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lieutenant Colonel John Caldwell, Thunderbird 1. We hope you're staying safe and healthy out there, and we are excited to be a part of this socially distant air show.
Stand by, diverse, the blue out. Stand by, blue out, ready now.
Ad. What a great show,
and a rare opportunity to actually hear the communications. This is they've given us some very interesting access to the team that no one else has had, and we really appreciate that.
A real behind the scenes look there at America's premier jet team. We're looking forward to having the Thunderbirds on Thursday, so don't miss it. I have never worked with Anna. I got to say that, but I watched this video and I was just kind of mesmerized by it. I mean, it's her tone, it's the pace, and I think that Rick, you could probably fill in a little bit of the backstory here, but I mean, this is really neat stuff, and it's coming up here just a couple of seconds.
She emigrated to Canada from Ukraine and is a PhD in economics, and she's a figure skater that skates as beautifully and as well as she flies aerobatically. She teaches now. She has a set up in a Boundary Bay, which is just outside of Vancouver, beautifully situated just off the Pacific Ocean. Their air show, sadly, will not be going ahead this year in July. It's one of the cancellations. But let's take a look at Anna and listen to what she has to say and watch how graceful and beautifully she flies.
Fans, and greetings from beautiful British Columbia. Thank you for joining the socially distant air show. We are very sad we cannot fly for you right now in person, but this is what we do when we do fly.
Every flight, every skydance takes the ultimate focus. Every time I advance the throttle for takeoff, I'm ready, and I'm loving it. It's a dance, it's grace, it's the three-dimensional freedom where I can express myself and share with those who want to join me on this journey. Share with those who maybe one day soon will get the wings on their own. Wings of flight, or wings of their own dreams they decided to fulfill. This maneuver right now is one of my favorite. I call it Sky Pirouette. We smile to the fans and we make it look easy, but it is not. And we always need to have the discipline of flying technical, flying numbers, while enjoying the dance. It can be learned, and some of my most rewarding experiences are in flight training, where I watch my students soar. We do it in our flight school, Canadian Flight Center in Vancouver area in BC. I love putting the world upside down, pushing the negative G's that make my hair stand and blood rush to my head. And then come back to the earth with a different perspective. and I'm loving every single moment of it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining this socially distant air show, and thank you for having me in the show and watching the videos. And very soon we will be flying in front of you in person and meeting you. And until then, stay safe.
She's so calm.
Beautiful, isn't it? And often set to the music of Ave Maria. There's a passion with her that she'd love to share, particularly with young girls, to be able to inspire them to take up aviation as well. Rob?
Yes, indeed, Anna. Thank you very, very much for that. In an airplane which is considered by many to be kind of a trainer for aerobatics, she just does it with such grace. And I think the idea of her being a figure skater and then being able to come from Ukraine to Canada and to pursue the dream of being an airshow performer and being an artist in the sky, as she says throughout the thing, her sky dance or doing the sky dance. Anna Serbianenko, we thank you so much.
Something for everyone on this broadcast, including a Lancaster that we're going to see right here from our friends at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum, I guess. Let's take a look at this Lancaster footage. This is going to be great.
This aircraft, of course, historic, one of only 2 Lancasters still flying in the world today. There's a fast taxi third one over in Great Britain, and another one that's being restored right now, but these are the only 2 really. And just try and imagine what it costs to keep an airplane like this flying, those 4 Merlin engines. Recently, of course, this airplane traveled over to Great Britain so that the 2 could fly together with the Battle of Britain commemorative Lancaster. But this one based at Hamilton, Ontario, the Canadian Warplane Heritage. It is a treat to see this airplane at Canadian air shows. We missed that terribly this year. It doesn't travel too far from home, with the exception of that overseas run, for all the right reasons, because she's really irreplaceable. They take such good care of her. It's the Mynarski Memorial. Andrew Mynarski, who gave his life to save the tail gunner, who bailed out and did not survive. And the tail gunner, by the way, ended up landing with the rear stabilizer and the rudders of the airplane, saving that man's life somehow. That it recovered, but Mynarski did not, and it carries the Victoria Cross, the highest honor, of course, for our servicemen and women in Canada, on the side, the Mynarski Memorial, and a treasure, a Canadian treasure, it really is, from Canadian Warplane Heritage in Hamilton, and these beautiful from the air-to-air shots. Rob?
Yeah, and the idea of 4 Merlin engines doing a spark plug job has got to be pretty challenging on that, but 4 of them. Built, designed by Rolls-Royce. And correct me, help me on this, you guys. And Matt, you may know this. Some of the Lancasters actually had Packard Merlin engines put in them later on in the war. Is that possible?
Oh, yes. The Dash 63 2A, I believe, Rick. Is that correct? I think so.
Did you just throw Matt under the bus?
I can still hear it backing up. Hang on a minute. It's coming back for more. Answer that question in the chat there. But our thanks, though, on the Lancaster video. The wheels always look so big under that thing to me. It's like, where do they come from? But
and I'll imagine trying to replace one of those tires too, after so many landings and stuff. And one of the great moments in Hamilton when they had one of their last air shows at the museum. Now they participate in Brantford, Ontario, where they move it up the road just a little bit because Hamilton's become quite a busy airport. But they at one of their shows, the last shows, had the Mosquito fly with the Lancaster, 2 Spitfires and 2 Hurricanes. Now that's a lot of Merlins. It was just absolutely wonderful.
This next performer, if you told him a Lancaster tasted like a crawfish, he'd try and eat it. Talking about our good friend from down in Louisiana there, Kevin Coleman. This guy, I'm telling you, the first time I saw Kevin, I didn't know what to think. I mean, the energy and the explosiveness that he flies with when he attacks his performance, it is second to none. And I think that's going to come across. Well, you'll see what I'm talking about in this video here of Kevin Coleman.
Talk about aggressive flying too, and his stature. Here he was in the Red Bull Air Race circuit for a while as well, making his way up in the Challenger Series. And of course, unfortunately, that series is no longer as the Red Bull Series, but there are efforts underway to get it back into North America and up and going again, which I think is a great idea. And then all of this happened. so there'll probably be a pause in that. But watch the way Kevin flies. This is one of our new faces in the air show industry, and he is just magical to watch, Rob.
Yeah, and we watch it, and the tumbling that he does using the 300 horsepower on the, I believe it's an extra 300, that, as a matter of fact, I think that was one of Michael Goulian's older airplanes that he purchased, and he comes from an aviation family. His dad, who is a physician, Weiss Coleman Sr., is an aviator. His older brother, Weiss, is now an ophthalmologist, as I recall. And Kevin is the guy who decided to chase after it, after the air show business, as you mentioned, Rick. Part of that Red Bull Air Race World Championship Challenger Series, hoping to move up in the status into the major leagues of Red Bull. And if it does get reborn, I would just venture a guess that Kevin Coleman is going to want to be part of it. Matt?
He's just an outstanding gun guy and a great performer. I like watching him, and I love it because his music that he flies to is nothing like, it's not like Matt Chapman's music was or anybody else's. I hope Matt's watching there. He recently retired, and we had to get his name in there and back up on him with the bus there. But look at Kevin Coleman, though. I'm telling you, a rising star in our industry and a guy that I love to watch. Really, really fun. And Kevin, we hope you're doing well. We appreciate you sending that video in. Our friends at Lockheed Martin have given us a lot of money, and their thanks to our industry and our thanks to them is mutual. And we'd like to pay tribute to them just a little bit here by letting you see this clip that they sent us.
Through relentless research to the development of so much to the F-35 Lightning II, the proven ready unmatched capabilities of the multi-mission C-130J Super Hercules, the civilian multi-purpose LM-100J air freighter, and the CP-140, the P-3 CP-140 Maritime Patrol aircraft that you saw there in Canadian colors. Lockheed Martin continues to redefine flight, and we thank them for their generous gift. Lockheed Martin, your mission is ours, as they say, and they have helped us tremendously here with the Socially Distant Air Show, Matt.
Thanks, Rick. We appreciate that. That was, I didn't even know you were reading.
No. It's all right here, just to my right.
How about some Jets?
Yes.
Yeah, let's roll them.
Just to recap, too, we've seen so much. If you missed yesterday, don't forget you can continue to see day one, and day two will be ready to be watched over and over again on social media. That was the outside. That was just the pop-up on the top of our Navy Rhino, the A-10. And, of course, we've seen the F-35 as we got things opened in our first half hour yesterday and our first hour today, of course, with the F-22. Just a quick recap of the Jets. And we've got lots more Jets coming up with the Snowbirds before this half hour is done, Matt.
That's right. We don't want to lose. We don't want to lose our friends there. They like the Jets. We got to keep them going. This last half hour, a generous gift was given to us by our friends at Skies Magazine. And Rick, I know you know a lot about that.
Yeah.
I've been taking a look at them on the web, and I know Rob has too. But Skies Magazine, thank you.
This is one of the most glossy, classiest magazines. If you get the edition that you get in the mailbox at home, and it is just the quality of the photography in it and the stories, of course. And again, you're right, Matt. We need to thank them, and you need to take a look at skiesmagazine.com, and we'll get an inside look at how they put this thing together and some of the outstanding stories and videography and photographs that they've been able to take of some of our iconic air show performers, all coming up this half hour, along with the Snowbirds and the Skyhawks. Matt?
We appreciate your donations that are still coming in. You can text to give, or you can donate right there on the website. Rob, I laughed. I'm not kidding you. I think I woke everybody up in the house when I watched what Luke Carrico and Nate Hammond sent, especially when Boggs makes an appearance. And just trust me on this. It's worth the watch. Take a look.
Let's do.
Luke Carrico here. For the next part of the show, I'd like to introduce to you a friend of mine, Nathan Hammond and Ghost Rider Air Shows. But first, let's go back and learn about the origins of Ghost Rider Air Shows with this informational clip. Nathan grew up as part of the old Rhinebeck Aerodrome in upstate New York. One of his primary responsibilities was giving rides in historic vintage aircraft. Here he comes now. Growing up in an aviation family, many of his family members were well versed in flight. Here we see Nathan's cousin Daryl, his uncle Leonard, and his Amish brother Clayton. Unfortunately, not all attempts were successful. Of course, as a professional airshow performer, Nathan always takes great care of his provided resources, including his crew car. He is well known on the airshow circuit for his night pyro routine. Here is some footage of Nathan Hammond rigging his own pyro. With any airshow performer, the operation is certainly a family affair. Nathan is very grateful for his wife, Kelly.
Had it not been for the splendid cooperation of my wife and partner, I would never have been able to have launched this project.
Well, anyways, it's time for the airshow briefing. Here comes Nathan Hammond now. Who is this? Oh, it's Air Boss Wayne Boggs. Moron! After the brief, Nathan is often found taking to the air to skywrite. Here he is drawing the amazing M-dash across the sky. So what has Nathan been up to since the COVID shutdown? Base jumping, recreational camping, horseback riding, and searching for the Titanic. Nathan has also been hard at work providing ideas for you at home. Have a family movie night. Take a ride around town. Take a visit to a farm, but maybe not Matt Jolly's farm. Here we see Rick Peterson, the most famous of daredevils, traveling a blistering mile a minute. In this dramatic reenactment of Peterson himself, he relives his Formula One dreams years later. You could become an airline pilot. You could join a marching band, or visit a dairy to see how milk is handled and prepared for delivery.
Indeed, the story of cattle and of milk is an integral part of the story of man.
Actually, though, Ghost Rider Air Shows is hard at work retrofitting an improved and overhauled engine for the upcoming season. It should give the Super Chipmunk a little more spunk when you see it next. Thanks to my buddy Nathan Hammond for letting me poke at him just a little bit. COVID might have us grounded for now, but know we'll be set and ready to fly again as soon as things get back to usual. So in the meantime, please stay safe, stay healthy, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Luke Carrico. That was awesome. You sneaked all of us in there. And Gee whiz, Matt, is that what your Super Chipmunk looks like?
No, mine actually has an engine on it.
And in Canadian colors, I might add as well.
Yeah, it is. It is a
historical airplane.
It has an engine, doesn't run right now. I've got the fuel tank coming back. That's for another story. How about this, though? We have a lovely sizzle reel here, and I that's a TV term, but I use it loosely. But this is just outstanding. I think you're going to like to see what's coming up next here with the Sea Sizzle reel. Did I say that right, Rick?
Well, Sea Sizzle, because we asked performers, and as you see here as the video starts, to lend us some of their performances and be creative and come on to the show. One of our air show producers decided to send in the sizzle reel that they intended for the new Aaron C show. And we thought, why not? Because the footage and the editing is just so superb, and it was a unique addition to the contributions that were sent. It's just outstanding video, and this is, again, from one of the shows and the crowds and what we're missing most of all these days. And why we're here is to help our performers. Well, not just the performers, but our members of ICAST that may need a leg up through these unprecedented times. So we urge you, the bottom of the screen is the fastest way to do it, to text GIVE to that number. Or if you're overseas, say in South America or in Europe, just go to the website, icastfoundation.org, and you can make a donation. Hopefully soon after this kind of action when it comes to air shows. Matt?
That's right. We don't have tote bags, but Rob's going to be giving away some flight suits to all of our lucky callers today, I think.
Yeah, the ones that don't fit anymore because I've been on my butt for a few weeks.
maybe some grocery sacks or something. We've all been buying a lot of those. All right, Steph Strickland standing by here. Steph, Flying Cowboys are making their way in here in just a few seconds here, aren't they?
It's been pretty amazing to actually have a chance to chat with them and get them over onto the YouTube side. Lots of folks asking questions about Mike Patey's new build now that Draco is not flying. So he's focused on building Scrappy. And I was talking to him on the phone. He goes, I build things. I don't do all this chat. I'm like, you got this. And he's been having a great time. So Mike, we appreciate you being a part of the chat. Everyone had lots of questions for him. Also, a quick shout out to John Isley checking in from Wisconsin. We also have Lynn from Ohio, who is watching with the kids right now. We appreciate that. Anna Servanenko hanging out on the chat. Jody Ruger talking about what she has coming up tomorrow as part of our air show, and the Skyhawks joining us as well, in addition to the Canadian Snowbirds. But yes, what we have right now is a little hello for us from the Flying Cowboys.
I love it. And what do? Well, they take off and land, but they do it in such a cool way that literally like millions and millions of people have been following the Flying Cowboys on social media and on YouTube, and we just love what they do. Backcountry flying, one of the most, I should say it's the fastest growing is what I've heard. The fastest growing segment of aviation right now is the backcountry flying, and these folks, the Flying Cowboys, they're affectionately called, probably one of the greatest proponents in the world for this type of flying. I know we have a clip here. Let's take a look.
Hey, so what's up, Rob Ryder, Rick, Steph, and crew? This is your social distancing online air show. Flying Cowboy Kevin Quinn, Trent Palmer, Mr. Trent Palmer, practicing our social distancing 6 feet apart. I hope you enjoyed that landing and takeoff. And what do you think, Trent?
Yeah, it's fun. Let's see what you're up to, Jason Sneed and Mike Patey.
Coming back at you, 2 more Flying Cowboys for you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Trent. Thanks, Kevin. I'm Jason Sneed with the Flying Cowboys, out here in the middle of nowhere, Arizona. I hope you guys are enjoying the online air show as much as I'm enjoying this nice Arizona weather. Hey, Mike, Mark, what are you guys up to?
Thanks, Jason. I'm Mark Beatty with the Flying Cowboys, and I'm here at the Best Aviation Products New World headquarters, trying to get Best Tugs moved into its new facility, get the assembly lines up and running. So unfortunately, I won't be flying anytime today. Maybe at the end of the day, I'll jump in my car and come join you guys out in the dirt backcountry. Well, let's go see what Mike's doing, because I'll bet you anything, he's back to work.
Hi guys, I'm Mike Beatty with the Flying Cowboys. I hope you're enjoying the online air show. I'm here working on Scrappy as always, putting in some fuel lines, a few other things. Super excited to get this plane done and get it out to an air show and join all you guys in the backcountry flying. This plane is being built to go back to Alaska, one of the greatest places I've ever flown. I had Draco up there. It was mind-blowing. And so I'm building this for some Alaska backcountry floats, some great flying adventures. I hope you guys are flying safe. Have fun. I'm gonna get back to work.
Draco, we miss you. Oh, Draco, we do miss you a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that fun, Steph? We just love watching the Flying Cowboys there. And they're in the chat room right now, is what I'm told. Is that true, Steph? So they're still hanging out?
They are still hanging out and they're chatting with the fans. Everyone, of course, has lots of questions for all of the Flying Cowboys. So that's super fun. I have to say hi to Michael in Scotland. Michael, we got your messages. I'm sorry it took me so long. I'm juggling a lot. Michael, this one's for you in Scotland. Just had to say hi. He was so excited. He wanted to be mentioned on the stream. And I have so much information coming at me. Also, Alana, we see you. Thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast. And some of you are still sending us videos on our Instagram of where you are in the world watching the Socially Distant Air Show. And we appreciate that. We're going to collect all that. And we have a video coming up, and maybe we'll just need to make another one tomorrow because you guys are still sending us stuff on the Live Air Show TV Instagram page.
Well, it is live. It is live around the world. Thousands upon thousands of you watching right now. And that's the cool thing about aviation is we're all such a huge family, no matter what part of the world you're in. Everybody that loves aviation can find something here on the Socially Distant Air Show. I have to say this, and I don't want to dwell on it, but here's something I've been thinking a lot about, and Rick and Rob and I both been talking about this. We're doing this because our friends who are in this business, especially here in North America, but really for that matter around the world, these are folks that are not going to ask for help. They're just not going to do it. You know, they'll start selling stuff off or whatever before they have to ask for help. But when they do ask for help, we need to be there, and we want to be there. So this is a way that we can give, and every dollar that we do put forth, and with all of the folks who are watching today, just a few dollars from everybody, we'd be there. But we do appreciate it, and that's all I wanted to say on that. Just keep that in mind. So when they do ask, when someone does make that call, we just want to be there to help our friends out. Skies Magazine, Rick, has given us a gift, a big gift, in fact, and we're so thankful for that.
Absolutely. Live Air Show TV, by the way, did a great job of getting to the backcountry flyers, and one of the productions they did earlier this season before it all went the way it has gone. But when it comes up to Skies Magazine, Mike Reno and his team there, Mike, first of all, is a quality photographer, and he's getting into the video world as well. And his staff put together such a quality magazine, and you can thumb through it on your iPad or whatever. But I want to take you again, we thank them for their generous gift, but let's just sit back and watch and look behind the scenes at some of the stories they've done with some of our great air show performers as well, and the work that they go through to make sure that they've told the story and they've told it well. Yeah, you can subscribe to them now and subscribe to the Daily, and you'll get your daily dose of all that's going on in the world of aviation. It's a great, reliable source for news. And again, the photography, the quality of Skies magazine is second to none, Matt. And we really thank them for their generous gift.
I was just thinking we couldn't sponsor this ourselves because we don't have a conference table for our podcast. We don't have anything cool.
No.
God, I mean, I'm working behind a white wall.
Donuts to us.
Nobody brings donuts is what I think you're trying to say, right, Rob?
Nobody delivers donuts to us.
No. Jill brings you grapes, though. You have like a whole sandwich plate down there. Don't lie. Canadian Skyhawks. The Canadian Skyhawks sent us a great video. And Rick, I'm sure they didn't have any fun at all making this, did they?
Let's just watch as we watch the Skyhawks take to the sky over some iconic Canadian landmarks. The Skyhawks, of course, this is all are finishing up in this segment today. Before we move on to tomorrow, day 3 of the air show is pretty much all about Canada now for this last segment. So let's roll the Canadian Skyhawks parachute team. And of course, based out of Trenton, Ontario, not too far from where I'm sitting right now, actually, joining us. And these guys just love to jump. Most of them, of course, representing the Army. And they are world class. They do their training down in the States where the weather's much nicer. And they really were looking forward to this season. It's still up in the air whether or not their season will be able to be even completed, as the resources of the Canadian Forces are being used to fight the COVID situation here in Canada. But they get on board the Hercules or whatever their jump aircraft is and put on quite a display. And shortly you'll see them jumping into Parliament Hill over the Peace Tower. And that's something you don't ever want to get hung up on while you're parachuting right into the heart of Canada's capital city of Ottawa. Matt, look at this. Look at the fun there. No, I wanted to get you while you were drinking some of your coffee.
Yeah. I'll show you the cup I'm drinking out of here in just a few minutes.
There's that free-falling thing again, Rob, and you can describe to people what that's like.
You got to turn your microphone on, though.
Rob, it's rule 1 in broadcast. Turn the mic on.
Hold on.
You weren't kidding this time.
120-mile-an-hour smile on your face, but funny when you jump out, you don't feel like your lunch is coming up to your throat because you're already moving at about 120 miles an hour in the airplane. You jump out and the wind is there, and that pillow thing kind of actually does work. But when you're under canopy going about 22 or 24 miles per hour, you can literally carry on a conversation with somebody next to you, as these guys do a facet of the sport where they wrap their legs around one another, but they do canopy relative work. They do the biplanes, the downplanes, and the triplanes, the side-by-sides, all very, very challenging kind of maneuvering as they work their way down toward the drop zone and will land on a target the size of about a pie pan and from 2 miles high or whatever it happens to be, or into a stadium or into a park or right on the street someplace. The Skyhawks, and talk about guys who are just thrilled and happy to be jumping any place and with such energy and fun. And there's the landing.
And that is on Parliament Hill in Ottawa during Canada Day, July 1st. And they proudly, their canopies, of course, proudly the Canadian flag. Matt?
I love it. A little Skyhawks action there. Look at this. Go Canada. Well, this cannot go without being said. We put this call out there to performers all over the world. And literally, if they were not the first performers to answer the call, they were certainly within the top 3 or 4. But I'm talking about these next performers, our friends, the Canadian Forces Snowbirds, the RCAF Snowbirds. Rick, as you have said to me often, they're near and dear to your hearts. But talk to me about this, because this was kind of emotional for everybody, I think, involved in putting this together. And then the fact that the Snowbirds stepped up was really astounding.
The question was, we were putting these together, and we wanted to go out to the membership and ask people if they'd like to be part of this. And of course, a lot of the membership definitely want to be part of this. And we wondered about, well, the military teams participate as well. And the Snowbirds was like that. Absolutely, we're in a big part of our family. They also are AIRSHOW Showmanship Award winners. You know, they've been given that award, one of our highest awards in the air show industry. And I'm proud to be an honorary member of this team. And they serve the nation well. They right now are standing down in Canada until we get more information about the situation, but that does not stop them from performing as best they can here, because you see, they can't even get into the hangar right now. They can't even get, basically they have to be socially distancing, but as we are here, they were able to gather up as well. And I think, shall we get right into it, guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's just get to the Snowbirds, and they're going to walk us through what they do.
On behalf of our commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Mike French, and all members of 431 Air Demonstration Squadron, welcome to our first virtual Canadian Forces Snowbirds performance. The Snowbirds are all active serving military members, and the show team is comprised of 11 pilots, 14 aircraft technicians, and our public affairs officer.
Hey everyone, we want to see where you're watching from. Follow us at CF Snowbirds and tag us in your posts on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Sounds like the team is all logged in and they're about to start. Let's listen in.
In for the virtual air show, Snowbird check-in.
Number 2.
8,
4, 5,
6, 7,
8,
9, 1.
We often get questions about how we train for our show. After the show season ends in October, we basically start again. We train in airspace near our home base of 15 Wing here in Saskatchewan. Boss, tell us a bit about how we train.
Training with the Snowbird is pretty much like riding a bike. You don't start without the training wheels. You don't start with the biggest bicycle out there. So initially we have little training wheels. So we start with small formation, with wide spacing, and we slowly start building with bigger formation. We start adding more airplane and then more difficult maneuver as we progress. But the winter is our busiest time of the year. In average, we fly 2 to 3 trips a day, 5 days a week. It's a very demanding for the pilot, the technicians. Very cold weather, long flights, brief and debrief. So the winter days are very long days. I'll ask Snowbird number 2 to comment on his training.
Yeah, so as the boss mentioned, it's a building block approach. As a junior pilot on the team, it's a lot of work. It's challenging. We do 2 days. It can be draining at times, especially at the end of the week. But you know, you kind of just keep going. Again, as a junior pilot, you're taking a lot of notes. You know, trying to see trends in your errors and stuff, and make sure that you're always coming into each mission knowing what your objectives are and what you're going to fix for the next mission. And just like that, like little by little, you take, you know, 1 step forward each mission. And it's really just a 6-month long process that each day you kind of get better. And at the end of the 6 months, you're able to put out a finished product.
Thanks, Ari. Next up, let's take a look at the Athena split, saluting those men and women who deployed to some of the most dangerous regions of Afghanistan. Snowbird 3, Captain Steve McKean, gives us some commentary.
So what we did is we ran in information, we dropped off the solos, we launched them, you can see them here. I thought it was cool, like some torpedoes or missiles being launched from the main formation. The rest of the formation goes into a loop.
Coverage.
On the Snowbird 12, we also split now, everyone except 1, 2, and 3 split away. You can see 3 and 2 generate enough space to cross behind the lead aircraft in a 45-degree climbing split.
Take off now.
Now, as 1 through 7 goes to rejoin, our solos, Captain Logan Reed and Major Ryan Stitch, go canopy to canopy in this elegantly crafted maneuver, the mirror roll.
Okay, so here's running my personal favorite, the mirror roll. Running at 260 knots. Roll inverted. Back the power here. Then I wait for the opposing.
So once the lead's set inverted, the opposing style is to just move forward and then fly formation off of the lead while he flies the profile.
Go all the way around just at the apex and looking for it to be no less than 900 feet or else and I wait for a clear call.
Fuck off now.
And it's just the roll out there we're looking at math.
Moving on to another fan favorite, our senior STEM cat, Captain Scott Boyd, walks us through the Canada Burst.
2, 3, 4, smoke now.
In 2019, we flew the Goose Change Double Diamond in a burst loop. As you can see the formation from the Goose formation right now, with everyone flying 2 aircraft back of their natural position. As we pull up, I can actually watch 2 and 3 move up and move ahead of me after flying behind me into their natural spot. Now we're going to continue the loop, and on the back side, all of you can start to feel the G increase, start to assess our energy for the burst. As we pull up, we're looking up for any sort of clouds, anything like that might impact the burst as it happens. And moving on to the front side, waiting for that split to happen from the boss. On the split, outers are going to go first, then the inners, then number 4, as we all move straight up. I'm looking out at the wingtip to make sure I have a vertical line, and wait for the gate to recover.
During World War II, over the skies of England, Canadians flew side by side with the Royal Air Force in the fight for freedom, creating the iconic contrails of the Battle of Britain. At the end of each show, the team recreates those contrails as they pitch, roll, and weave in this final stunning maneuver. Our outers, Captain Joel Wilson and Captain Stephen Sparks, give us some insight into the secret.
So last year, nearing the end of the show, the team took the opportunity to do a fan favorite where they did the Bob maneuver, where boss lines up with the crowd and everyone kind of tucks in and hides so that all the kind of lights are lined up facing the crowd and coming in. And then they kind of, at the same time, you see the smoke will come on and then they'll go into like a burst. And I'll let Joel explain from here.
So the maneuvering itself, we're looking to maintain about 300 feet trail separation. And really all you're doing is going where the aircraft in front of you went and trying to make the smoke lines look kind of as big and as cool to the crowd as possible. And rolling out on the show line, you can see kind of what that separation looks like. And it really goes from seeing 1 aircraft on the run-in to seeing 9 aircraft in this big kind of maneuvering formation.
This is Major Jean-François Dupont from cockpit number 1. It's our pleasure today to be part of this social distance air show for this great cause. We also like to dedicate the show to all the healthcare workers, first responders, military members, and all other essential personnel that are on the front line for the fight against coronavirus. Be safe and stay healthy.
Well, that concludes our first ever virtual air show performance. On behalf of the commanding officer and all members of 431 Air Demonstration Squadron, thank you for joining us today. By the way, if you're Canadian and looking to join us, check out forces.ca. Back to you, Rick, Matt, and Rob.
Okay, that's your turn, Rick. You got to unmute your mic.
It's actually because I was crying. I was tearing up.
He was
there, just trying to get myself together at the end.
Yeah.
So proud of them. The Snowbirds, of course, and we thank them for stepping up so fast to be with us and help us make this happen so that we could. And again, we encourage you to give what you can to the airshow community. And that's what this has all been about. Matt?
Well, we want to bring Steph Strickland in here, who's been keeping up with everything that's going on the social media side of things. And Steph, where do we stand right now?
The chat was absolutely fantastic today. I thought it would be hard to top what we pulled off yesterday, but having so many performers join in made it so fun. So it was an absolute blast. Rick, I've got to tell you that you are on notice from the Skyhawks. It was all over the chat. They're going to get you to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
That was my fear.
Yes, they're on to you now. And I also want to take an opportunity. We asked folks yesterday to send us a video on Live Air Show TV's Instagram page showing where they were watching the socially distant air show from. And some folks sent photos, and a lot of folks actually sent videos. So our team from Threshold Images, we are working with Dennis and Nick. They are fantastic human beings and super helpful. Put together this little clip, and it includes folks like Airshow Stuff and Home 409 and Indira Thackeray and other folks from all over the world watching. You can check it out.
All of us here at Airshow Stuff are hoping you're staying safe at home and enjoying the socially distant air show.
We would like to thank every frontline and essential worker who's out there helping make a difference every day.
Thank you for helping all of us get through these tough times and stay strong.
We can't wait to see you guys at an air show soon.
Hey folks, Home 409, F-18 pilot from Canada. I just want to say thank you to all the first responders and the people working behind the scene to make sure we have a safe return back to normalcy sometime soon. And I want to wish you guys the best socially distant air show that you can have. And yes, that's snow. We live in Cold Lake, Alberta.
Hey, I'm watching Live Airshow TV here in my home office. I've got them on Facebook, hosting a watch party, and of course, on YouTube. You guys should tune in tomorrow.
Hey everyone, Sean in Motion, coming to you from Ottawa, Ontario. Tough start to the season for the air show industry, but we're going to get it through. And big thanks to the essential workers who are helping everyone stay safe and keep coming forward in this difficult time. Do your part, stay home, and enjoy the socially distant air show. Big shout out to the organizers of that. Can't wait to get the season started. Here we go!
Awesome job. Great. Well, I tell you, it's been fun, hasn't it? Hasn't this been a fun time? And
big time.
I got to tell you, though, I've been using a porta potty this entire time.
Yes, you
You're
have.
doing it wrong.
It's been right here. It's been
That's
right
his
here.
coffee cup right there.
Little cheer for us all.
You talk about we're hearing from people about how whether we're good or bad or right or wrong about stuff, and I made that I asked the question about the engines and the Lank, and Scooter Yoke Scott, who's a Merlin guy, Scooter said Lancaster had the 700 series transport Merlins installed. Yes, they were Packard built. So how about they made 56,000 of those motors?
All right, now we're getting into that realm where it's like you're going to start counting the rivets next, and it's time to go. So here's what's going to happen tomorrow, Matt. We're so excited about this. Yeah. Again, it's going to be an all-star day, and those who like jets, prepare for G, literally. From the Czech Republic, the Saab Gripen demonstration coming up tomorrow. From the RAF, the Typhoon demonstration coming up tomorrow. From the United States Air Force, the F-16 Viper demonstration. For those who like the teams, the Patrie Suisse will be flying for us tomorrow. And of course, we'll cap things off our headliners, America's team, Matt.
That's right.
The Thunderbirds.
That's right. The premier jet demonstration team down here in America. We're happy to have it down here in America. Rick, how about that? Listen, if you've enjoyed today, would you do us a favor? Give $1 or $2 if you can, and like our podcast at some point. So we'd love to stay in touch with you on all this, and of course, give Airshow, Live Airshow TV there a big look, and all of our contributing partners like Airshow Stuff that we saw there earlier. Steph Strickland, thanks.
Guys Magazine this half hour.
Yep.
Thank you, Scott.
Well, we want to thank all of our contributors, and of course, all those who have given so much today. Stay tuned. Your local news is coming up next. We're right on time. I can't believe it. Jeff Lee, thanks. Brian, everybody, Philip, thank you so much for making this happen. We'll see you tomorrow.
Guys. So long, everybody.